we've already gotten started,
That's all
which
right.
is, if you weren't here already, you missed a lot. So, welcome. Oh, my goodness. It occurred to me today that I want to put together our loop of awareness with appreciation. So, the intention to use our attention to be a flow of appreciation. And appreciation, I want to just review, for me has two major meanings. One is to give my sensitive awareness to. And to me, that's the most, I think, the most transformative use of appreciation, so that I'm not going rah rah, or I'm not overlooking what's going on, but I'm giving my really my it's like my little, I'm thinking of Finding Nemo and the anemone with the little, I'm giving my, all of my little senses are tuning in. And because I've been feeling, and I imagine that you've been feeling, you get drained more quickly. I think that because of everything that's going on, we should just assume that we're being like bombarded all the time, and having using our attention to circulate appreciation, I think has just such, incredible benefits for us. And the other definition of appreciation is to focus primarily on, what's working. So to give sensitive awareness to, and then I think we often do that more outward than we do inward. So I'd like to first have you let yourself activate some appreciation. So one of the things I love about appreciation is you don't have to wait for something to happen. You don't have to wait for something good to happen or something that you approve of to give an appreciation. So how can you activate appreciation? So one way to do that is with because you can, our brains are usually in critical default mode. So if you hmm, just do a several times. That's one way. Also, I find either wiggling or oozing opens appreciation for me, opens more of a flow of appreciation. And you could combine the and a wiggle while you're letting your attention, kind of scan your body, or, go up the front and down the back, but giving appreciative attention to you first. So you could go through your bones, you could flow through your blood, you could give attention to your arms and then your legs and your tummy and your butt, uh, focusing on how appreciation opens up the qualities of sensation that you're experiencing. So letting yourself first do that, and since you're not moving anywhere right now, if most of you are not in a car, you could let yourself close your eyes while you're giving attention to you. One of the things I love about loop of awareness is I can circulate my attention and still have my eyes open. But since we're filling our reservoirs right now, feel free to let yourself notice where in your body is wanting that kind of, ooh, how are you? What's going on? That kind of curious attention, which I also think of as appreciation. Because if you're lucky, you have friends who they just come into the room and they'll go, okay, what's up? Because they'll feel it from you. And I'd like you to give that kind of attention to yourself, that kind of, okay, what's up? What's up? Here I am, and what's up? And I would love for you to let yourself also respond to giving yourself that kind of appreciative attention. Because generally, I think for ourselves, we do a kind of a bounce off. It's like, okay, but now I got work to do. Or, okay, but this is still wrong. So letting it soak in, I was thinking about a fountain pen, because even though I'm a lefty, I've always loved fountain pens, even though I'd get the ink all over me. And if you put a fountain pen on a tissue, on a Kleenex, you get a spread. And I would like you to imagine that your attention is spreading in you and diffusing in you. You could also use, putting tea and in the water and letting it diffuse. But your attention has as much power to open flow, to give you a sense of that nourishment. When I've really given myself attention, that is nourishing for me. One way that I know that is that my breath spontaneously deepens. So I might get a I might have a sigh, or my breath might slow. So that's how I check to see if I've actually received, is it will change my breath. So I want to invite you to let your breath and your sound move with your attention, with that sense of appreciation. And then, so me first, like I used to do with my brothers when we would get M&Ms, and we'd always have to share, which was just not fair because there were two of them and one of me. So I'd give, with my M&Ms, I'd go one for you and two for me, and one for you and two for me. And so that's how I'd like you to think of sharing your attention, is one for you and two for me, with your pulsing or how much time you take. So we have lots of friends here, people that you recognize on the call this morning. So let your attention go out to one or more with that kind of, what's going on? And that kind of curious touching others with your attention. And then notice, and then bring it back to you, because you can get absorbed in, oh, what is that that's going on with it? So bring it back to you. So you're letting that flow. And sometimes I like to use my hands because my mind, it will be busy, but my hands can help go, okay, now we're going out and now we're coming back in again. And you could also use that when you come back in, you could turn that into a love scoop. You could give yourself taking that attention in, that love in, and then give it anywhere in you that you want. I was just touching my arms and going, oh, I'm getting muscles again. As I touch, I have a bicep. I was like, feel my arm. So looking for good things rather than mushy arms. And also, I also will feel my thighs because I'm starting to get muscles again in my thighs. So I'm appreciating my commitment to my own well-being and continuing to, recover from long COVID. So letting your attention be infused with appreciation. So it can be around it, flowing around it. It can be like a hose flowing through. It could be like a sprinkler that you're distributing appreciation with your attention. Or it could be like a fire hose if there's some place that you're just really wanting to open up or clear out. But since we are mostly water, letting the flow of attention flow like water, because it can also go around the stuck places. So find a place in your body, like for me, it's my left top of my sacrum. That's sort of my stuck place. And then my second stuck place is on the left side of my neck. And let your flow of appreciation go into and around that stuck place, as if it were water flowing around rocks in a stream. And just notice what happens as you let your attention land and flow. So there I found my spontaneous breath again. So you might, as you're playing with this, you'll discover what lets you know that you've shifted. What lets you know that you've shifted into more flow or more appreciation. And it's going to be a sensory experience. So don't settle for, oh, I think I'm doing it, or this feels a little better, but actually get a body sensation that feels yummy or more open or warmth, or you get more flow or tingling, or you might get emotions, you might get feeling, because often a stuck place in you is holding emotions that want to flow. And so if you find yourself, feeling shivering, or you find tears, I cry probably 2 or 3 times every day now. And so I'm really letting that flow, because with that comes more aliveness. And tears aren't always about sadness. They can be about being touched by something, or being just topped up and needing to let that flow through. So I really want to encourage you to let your tears flow, as well as the flow of your attention. So that's what I would like to have you practice with your loop of awareness today. And let's bring up our card. So a great place that you can let yourself flow into and then flow back into you. And even though this is a flow into space, you can think of space as just another form of water. And I love how there's all of this movement. So letting your attention appreciate into the card and into the collage, and then back into you, and letting that flow back and forth while I share with you a card that I particularly selected for today. I wonder how much love and appreciation I can give and receive today. And I want to change that into, I wonder how much love and appreciation I can give and receive every day. Because I'd like this to be your intention for the week. And as you're flowing into it, into the collage, you might be drawn to light, you might be drawn to different colors, you might be drawn to an open space or a dark space. And as you let yourself flow into that, let the appreciation and what you're experiencing flow back into you and just be received. So often we'll go up into our heads like, what is that? And what does that mean? And why did they put that there? And, why did they put a constellation right next to the earth? That doesn't make any sense. So you can get involved in your head, but if you let yourself just go into how you are receiving all of the shapes and the colors and the forms. And, particularly, I love the expression on her face, and letting that flow back into you. How can I experience that same openness and curiosity? So even if you don't get an answer right away, the question, I wonder how much love and appreciation I can give and receive today. Because I consider appreciation to be, I say in relationship, it's your highest ROI. There's only upside with appreciation. There's no downside. And it really can fill your own reservoir and also overflow into filling other people's reservoirs around you. Because when you're circulating appreciation, you become like an appreciation light in the world. And I've experienced that people notice that and people receive it. And when I'm in a flow of appreciation, people around me, I can see them lighting up, I can see them softening, I can see them connecting more. So you can be a beam, a lighthouse, a sprinkler, of appreciation for you and for others. And there's plenty. So appreciation, the cool thing about another definition of appreciation is to appreciate, which is to grow in value. So the more you appreciate, the more you learn how to appreciate, and the more your appreciation grows in value. And I love that. So let's come on back to the group, and I'm going to pull up the Presence Connect play for today. One of my goals for the world is it's part of my 500-year plan, is that we replace the drama triangle with Presence Connect play. that, if you see every interaction as an opportunity for you to get here, presence yourself, connect, and then see what wants to happen. So play is really seeing what wants to happen. All right, so let's see what we've got here for presence is notice you, your breath and sensations, and then notice others and the room. So that's kind of what we were just doing. When I give attention, notice myself, and then I notice the room, I'm starting to open the flow of attention, which in our book, Conscious Loving Ever After, we have as an infinity sign. So as you're giving attention to you and then giving attention out into the world, what you are creating is a palpable flow that you can tap into anytime. One of the reasons I like to do this as a group is that we can then draw on the field that we're all creating together and that we've been creating for a long time. So you can dip into that and receive. You want attention or love or just to have that sense of I have value, I belong. And that's what that loop of awareness, noticing you and noticing others, that's actually one of the definitions of the loop of awareness. Notice you, then notice others, then notice you. Connect. I've been very phlegmy the last few days. And I don't know if that's some old grief coming through or just old glop that I'm trying to get through, but so just that's what I'm appreciating and loving right now, among other things. So clearing my throat. Connect is to yes and add an appreciation. So this is one of my favorites. So almost always you'll see out in the world today, like on talk shows, the conversation is basically rebuttal, refute, deny, interrupt. But what I notice, particularly with women, if they're on a talk show, someone says something and then somebody else will say, yes, I've noticed that myself, and they'll add something, and it's almost always something. And I want to just add to, what Catherine was saying, which I've noticed so many times. And here's what, and then they'll add to it. So if you receive, it's an acknowledgement that you hear the other person. So yes, I hear that was disturbing to you. And I'm wondering how, when I hear that, I feel sad, and I'm wondering how we can resolve this. So the yes and continues the conversation. And it's in some improv books, that's really the basis of being able to improv, which I think is really our basic human skill that's going to make it possible for us to continue existing 1,000 years from now, is to be able to improv. So the yes and, rather than ooh, like one of mine is, I can't stand it. So rather than yes, I go, so the yes is, yes, this is happening. Yes, this is real. Yes, I feel about it. And then I am connected to what's happening rather than trying to use all of my energy to deny what's going on. So play is, let me just see, because that's one of the things. So play is pretty much the same. That's really interesting. So play is receive and then toss. So I would like you to take a look at, do you let yourself receive? So for me, I like go, oh no, and I let it bounce off. So something's coming at me and I don't actually receive it. Now, there are some things, this is not for everything all the time, because we have a whole process we call constellation, which is what you do with stuff coming at you that you don't want to engage with. So you can let it go by, like in a keto move. You can use it to, take it in and use it for fuel and for more energy. But for people that you care about, that you want to continue connecting with, to receive and then toss back, so that you don't receive and go away, or you don't rebut, you literally toss. And one of the one of the most effective tosses is tell me more. Just tell me more. Oh, You could add a oh, tell me more. And so in our basic toss, then what happened? Tell me more. What interests you about that? That's the one I use with Gay a lot, and it always gets him because that's the one that he'll go, well, this, because he's always wanting to learn something, or to evolve something. And so if I say, what interests you most about that, it gives him a chance to play with it. So the tosses, if you've got, 3 to 5 tosses that you really like, that you can kind of keep in your menu, you can receive and then toss. And that'll also be in your arsenal if you're, if you get, and you don't know, you get sort of tossed or thrown over or stuck. If you have that you can share, then it'll help keep the conversation going. So, and then of course, when in doubt, add fear melters. So, I'm basically doing a form of fear melters all the time. I'm either wiggling or I'm grounding, or I'm doing some kind of love scoop, or I'm oozing. I'm turning jagged into oozing. And that's one thing I really want to recommend because there's a lot of jaggedness right now and jangly. And I notice that because I'll reach for something and it falls over, things aren't quite connecting. And that jaggedness, I think we can help turn into connection with our attention. And so lots to play with this week. But I'm going to take my leave now because Farmer Kate is going off to the nursery now, and I'm going to get some, I got 2 planters for our backyard. And so I'm going to be getting all of the stuff to put in that and some plants to put in there. So I decided I didn't want to wear my finery down to the nursery. So I got my Farmer Kate overalls on. So wishing you lots of great cultivation in your week, and wonderful to see you all. And just want to let you know, this is a place where we can all celebrate the power of love and community, which is much more powerful than any other of the what that's going on right now. So, so please stay and share as long as Michelle will let you. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Mwah. Take care.